Good afternoon, everyone. Just give us some 5 minutes. Your Excellency Derek Low, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Singapore, Your Excellency Tahidul Islam, High Commissioner of Singapore to Bangladesh, Mr. Shahidul Zaman, President, Bangladesh Business Chamber of Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Dexter O, Market Advisor for Africa, Europe, Middle East, Central and South Asia from Singapore Business Federation. And I will be your host for this third webinar of our South Asia edition of the festivals. Festival is organized under the Global Connect SBF program, a strategic partnership between SBF and Enterprise Singapore, aimed at helping Singapore companies learn about business opportunities, land with business deal, and/or investment projects, and localize in those markets for suitable, sustainable business presence. Today, we're also happy to bring you this webinar with a panel of the partners that include the International Finance Corporation, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, Summit Power International, and ASEAN Projects Engineering Private Limited. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, you may type them in the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel before you forget them. We have time for questions in the later part of the webinar. Today, we are honored to have His Excellency Derek Low, High Commissioner for Singapore to Bangladesh, to give us an opening address. We will have a panel discussion on Bangladesh development by looking at its economic plans and future investment with our guest, Mr. Martin Hopeman, Country Manager of Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal for IFC, Mr. Muhammad Ariful Hope, Director, Foreign Investment Commercial Office, BIDA, and Mr. Rahan Hussain, Director in charge of Summit Powers International, Summit Technopolis. Following that, we will have dive deeper into the reality of business landscape where Mr. Nicholas Pegyauskas, Chief Financial Officer, Summit Power International, and Mr. Jasprit Singh, Country Manager of APECO, will share their organization experience in doing business in Bangladesh. After both sessions, we'll conclude the webinar with a closing address. We are honored to have His Excellency Tahidul Islam, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Singapore, to give the closing address. To start today's session, let me quickly walk you through SBF and our globalization initiative, Global Connect SBF. It's an initiative that has been formulated to assist Singapore companies that are looking to internationalize and deepen their presence in overseas markets. Global Connect SBF helps Singapore companies first learn about the country and the business opportunity it presents through sharing of useful resources like curated market information presentations, advisories on free trade agreement, and structured training through workshop webinars. We also conduct overseas visits for members to let them experience and understand local business and culture, which help them better understand the potential countries they wish to expand into. Second, Global Connect SBF aims to land business deals and investment projects through B2B matching, facilitating market and business development, through identifying the right market for businesses and assessing the business capabilities. We currently have 3 SBF overseas offices called Singapore Enterprise Center, with plans for more in the future. Set up in Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City, and Bangkok. Sorry about that. This SEC provided on the ground facilitation and in-market assistance. Lastly, we assist Singapore companies to localize in those markets for a sustainable business presence, to help them to grow and integrate with local network and strengthen their presence. All right, now you must be tired hearing from me. Now we'll launch a poll for some questions regarding the internationalization journey of your company, as well as the potential progress for your company in the internationalization journey. Now, I would like to invite His Excellency Low to kick off this episode of formally. Your Excellency, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dexter. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you attending this webinar. Thank you for joining us today. SBF's third edition of its South Asia Festival series that serves to highlight business opportunities in Bangladesh for Singapore companies. First and foremost, this year, 2022, marks half a century of diplomatic relations between Bangladesh and Singapore. Bangladesh having gained its statehood in December 1971, following a difficult and bloody war of independence. Singapore, in turn, recognized and established diplomatic relations with Bangladesh in February 1972. Over the past 5 decades, both nations have shared very warm relations, and ties have grown stronger through cooperation in several areas, key amongst which is economic. More importantly, Bangladesh and Singapore are also closely connected at the people-to-people level, with a large diaspora comprising skilled and semi-skilled Bangladeshis living and working in Singapore, and playing a very significant role in the development of Singapore, especially its built environment. While there's much for both Bangladesh and Singapore to commemorate for the last 50 years, there's reason to believe that the next half century will be even greater closeness in the relationship, both diplomatically and commercially. Today, Bangladesh is a key market that cannot be ignored. With a population of almost 170 million, Bangladesh offers considerable business opportunities and a sizable market. Following the return of stable parliamentary rule in Bangladesh, Bangladesh has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world, graduating from least developed country status in 2021 and aspiring to become a middle income country by 2031. According to data from the World Bank, the economy has grown at a rapid clip, achieving no less than 6% growth annually for the last 10 years, excepting, of course, 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. Importantly, in 2020, Bangladesh had a GDP of $323 billion, placing it amongst the 40 largest economies in the world. More significantly is the fact that Bangladesh is projected to almost double this figure and attain a GDP of $625 billion by 2027. To achieve this growth, Bangladesh has plans to diversify its economy and to move beyond the traditional industries into higher value sectors, offering opportunities in manufacturing, outsourcing, and technology-related investments. The facts do speak very loudly for themselves. In the financial year 2021 to 2022, Singapore was the 5th largest investor in Bangladesh. To today's program. For today's webinar session, we are delighted to have panelists from the International Finance Corporation, or IFC, and the Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, or BIDA, to speak not only about their upcoming investments and development plans, but also some of the key steps that Bangladesh may take to drive its economy and to enhance the investment climate there. We are also privileged to have Summit Technopolis, who will join the panel to share their thoughts about the Special Economic Zone Scheme, or SEZ scheme in Bangladesh, and how such special economic zones can enhance and complement foreign direct investment. SPF has also selected some companies named our share the experience on doing business in Bangladesh. It's left for me to emphasize that despite finding its existence in adversity and facing many challenges, Bangladesh has overcome all of this to build an economy that is both growing and maturing briskly. There's good reason to be optimistic and buoyant about Bangladesh's economy and also to invest in Bangladesh. My thanks again to everyone for making the time to attend this webinar today, and I wish all of you a very, very fruitful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think he just brought up about the future SEZ in Bangladesh. So next, we have Mr. Rahat Hussain, who is the director in charge for Summit Technopolis, which is part of the Summit Power International, to present on the Bangladesh SEZ future and outlook for SEZ in Bangladesh. Mr. Hussain, please. Hi, Mr. Hussain. Yeah, Mr. Hussain. Thank you. I hand over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dexter. So good afternoon to everybody. I'm honored to be over there to get this opportunity to present my company. Yes, Bangladesh, as said, that the Bangladesh is aspiring to be a middle income country very soon, and government is coming up with a lot of plan to accommodate the high-end industry over there. I am representing one of the company that's is a subsidiary of Technopolis Limited. This is a facility where investment opportunity can be accommodated over there in this country. This is Summit Technopolis Limited. You see that this is some of the picture over there. The first picture might be a rail station. That's representing the unique connectivity of Summit Technopolis. Apart from the other connectivity, the rail connectivity is also available. Second is it's representative factory building that we can accommodate. And this is a really available space where that can be rented. Is a facility we build and the investor. So the investor investing over there, and the rest of the picture is the investor who took the land and then developed. Summit Group, it's a glimpse of the Summit Group. One of the largest conglomerate, and its position is leading, especially the power generation. You see that we have the 2005. We produce almost around the country, the power generation. Next is that the FSRU project. This is the second project that we have invested, that capacity of 500 mmCFD. Third is well business. Well, we have the capacity of 650 metric ton storage capacity. That is actually supplied to the power companies. We have a Summit at 20% of containerized export and import country. Telecommunication, we have investment in telecommunication sector as well, and we're one of the. And last might be the commercial real estate, that we have the experience to develop the hospitality, airport hospitality. 2 to 5-star hotels accommodation is being developed near to the Dhaka airport. And part of this business segment, we have a 91-acre facilities in the high-tech park that we have got the concession from Bangladesh government. Next, please. So this is just to give an overview of Bangladesh, how government is planning. Government already have 5 high-tech park in different part of this country. Sylhet, this is a deep, I mean, the various part of this country. So our concern, we are discussing about Bangladesh high-tech city Kaliakot, that is very near to the capital city of Dhaka. This is the northern part of the district. So next, please. This is the feature of this park. Yeah, Bangabandhu High Tech Park. It has almost 355 acres of land, 6 blocks, and regulator is the Bangladesh High Tech Park Authority, the Ministry of IT Ministry of Bangladesh. I mean, got a block. We rented accommodate the investment facility over there. This is a 40 years. This is a very long term. 40 years and 40 years initially, and 20 years can be extended. Next. The targeted industry would be the government has targeted industry who those investment will be accommodated. This is high tech industry, IT and ITES, electronic design and manufacturing, and biotech industries. That is expected for there. Next, please. So why Bangladesh? Actually, that if you see that there is strong internal demand. It's the total population is almost 168 million people in Bangladesh, and they have a very robust demand, internal demand in the country. Labor is almost, I mean, labor force is participation is almost 39, and it is increased in 2020, 39.38%, and it has increased in 2020. The age is 15 years to 24 years. Globally, the attractive thing that the global, we are the largest supplier of the free. You have a very good number of technical people to be available. Our GDP is, I mean, as informed earlier, that around to be 7% around in the next year. Investment friendly environment over there. Government is really working hard and rapidly changing and easing the process for the investor. Low cost labor, obviously, I mean, available. Improve transportation activity is a huge that we have one of the so government is doing to improve the transportation connectivity throughout the country, and this sector is one of the government's prioritized sector, and a lot of the next. So unique features that Bangabandhu High Tech Park offering is that the connectivity available, I mean, comparatively available skilled manpower to the city. So as the capital city, nearest to the capital city, a lot of skilled manpower is available. Sometimes the people do not want to go to the remote area. So I would say that is a very good feature for the investor. Required IT person is being trained by the government. So even the IT authority is also these issues to come up with the trained people for the investor, so that they can avail. Local market opportunity, as I said, that our population is almost 160 million, so it's a huge local market in Bangladesh. One-stop service, the government is offering a one-stop service for the investor. A lot of regulators are connected over there, so what this is available for the investor as well. Various incentives is obviously unique transportation that I said. This is a very near to the capital city. Road connection is good, and the unique type, the unique feature would be that the rail connection is also there. In that, it is a very the vicinity of the area. Utilities by now. So hence there's a incentives that's being offered by the government. So just I'm presenting in short, 10 years tax holiday. I mean 7 years for 7 and 3 years for partial 70% and 3 years for 7. Shareholders have 50% tax exemption for 10 years on dividend and capital. So any capital gain, any dividend that shareholders take, 50% of the capital dividend and capital gain tax is applied for the investor for first 10 years. 50% exemption of income of tax for first 3 years for the employee. I mean the foreign employee who is working in a company. So first 3 years, I mean their tax is exempted for 50% tax is exempted. Export, I mean 100% exemption of export tax, if any. I mean sometimes the export some tax is 100% exempted. Exemption related to the repatriation. I mean there's a full support from the government that you can take the dividend, you can take the capital without any restriction. 50% tax exemption for 10 years on transfer of royalty, any types of royalty, technical know-how fee, whatever the investor want to take, 50% tax exemption for first 10 years. So it's a huge thing. Next. Exemption for import duties also, because it is considered as a bonded area. So whatever the import being done for the production, it is fully tax exempted, and even the vehicle as well that is being used for the investment facility. 10 years accelerated depreciation also allowed. I mean, for the investor who invest heavily over there, that might be a unique facility offer for him. That there is an offer. VAT exemption, that there's a VAT exemption being offered as well. High-tech park will be treated as a customs, as I said earlier, customs bonded area. No cap on FDI limits, whatever the amount that it can be invested, 100% equity is allowed. Sometimes there is no restriction, no need to take the local partner. And the other facilities, as the training is being done by the government, so a lot of skilled people will be there, and it's very near to the capital city. Next, please. One-stop service is offering a lot of services, I mean, so that the investor can take can collect the various certification and permission from the government. So it is being offered. So it's a unique thing. We've been told to run over there, here and there. This is just one click away that you need to. So this thing under the services, project registration, all types of, I mean, registration and approval that's need to develop a project that is available over there. Next, please. So this is the thing that how an investor can consider. This is a two mode. One is the lease of land. I mean, there's a vacant land that the investor can come and take the lease. Still, there is some land. I think that very soon it won't be there. But if investor come there, investor can take the land and then can develop their facility at their require. Ready space is also available. We can develop the ready space and it can be rented. So these two types of facility we are offering as an as the concessionary. Yeah, next. So support facility is that I mean, this is very near to Dhaka. Seamless connectivity, significant cost advantage, focus of the government. Next, please. Bangladesh offers significant cost advantage, saving in expenditure, enjoy one-stop services, other facilities. Next, please. So this is the unique feature. I mean, some feature that I have shared, that it is very near to the Bangladesh. It is very near to the. It might be the nearest high-tech park that's from the Dhaka airport. I mean, Bangladesh capital city airport. That road connectivity. I mean, rail connectivity is over there. So next, please. This is some glimpse of the investor that Oryx is also investing over there. They are coming up with a 300 million USD. Then the other companies, renowned world famous companies also there. Some of the local companies are there. Next, please. So this is also, I mean, some of the logo of the investor, those are investing. So that is from my side. That apart from that, if anybody require any further asking, we are also open. I will be reachable anytime, and welcome for any asking regarding this matter in depth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. That was quite an insightful sharing for the SEZ future and outlook for Bangladesh. We will be conducting, Singapore Business Federation will be conducting a potential overseas market workshop to Bangladesh around November. So I'm pretty sure that, previously Summit Power International actually spoke to us, and this SEZ Summit Technopolis will be one of the places that we'll explore to visit and bring our businesses over to see the SEZ for Summit Technopolis, as well as understand the SEZ development and future in Bangladesh go forth.
Always welcome, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Hockman, Mr. Hock, and Mr. Hussein to share on future investment developments and economic plans for Bangladesh. Mr. Hockman, Mr. Hock, and Mr. Hussein, please. Okay, maybe some questions from my end, which has been given by some of the participants that are not able to attend today's webinar due to their conflicting interests, conflicting program. So for Bangladesh, we expect them to graduate from a least developed country to a developed country. So what are some of the implications, challenges, benefits that the country economy expect to face? Maybe we can direct this to Mr. Ariful Hope.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for question. Before beginning my question, I would like to confirm my gratitude to Singapore Business Federation for this event. I believe this is the second in a row we've done in the last year this event. And my gratitude to Mr. Hussein for sharing the view of Bangladesh to the audience in particular, because his view will be much accepted by the audience than from the government side. Thank you, sir. Just to share with you, the question Derek has asked is because as you know, as His Excellency has already been shared, that we'll be graduating from the LDC by 2026. So there will be challenges, there will be benefits. Just to share a few benefits. As you know, these countries looked by the global arena on a different scale, but now it's a different country. As you've seen, as His Excellency has said, that it's a changing dynamic country. So what will be there? As we will be elevating to a developing country, the investment opportunity of Bangladesh will be seen by the investor at large on a different perspective. That's from our end. So that there will be the credit rating will be increased. As you know, the large MNC will be considering Bangladesh preferred investment destination. And we believe that investment in the service sector will increase. And this will open a new window of opportunity to help Bangladesh to take necessary steps to become an upper middle income country by 2031 and a high income country by 2041. As you know, that our government has definitive policy on the earmarks to how to take the country to that targets. So definitely these will have, the LSA graduation will have the challenges. One could be the reduction of the tariff benefit under GSP and EBA that we enjoy in the urban markets. So the duty-free quota-free access may be reduced. As the rules of origin will be stringent, and for the patent benefit that we enjoy in the pharmaceutical sector will be, will be limited. But again, then to address the challenges, we have to take the challenges always been, and for the 2-member committee formed by the Prime Minister's Office, which is working on a 6th thematic group. These groups include the trade, tariffs, investment, and finance, so that the challenges that will be coming in the LSA graduation can be properly mitigated. They are acting, these comprises from the private sectors, so that a holistic approach and a fully functional, the approach can. And to share with you, just to, as I have, because we have worked on the ease of doing business, just to share with you, although this has been suspended for some time, but the government of Bangladesh is taking its own efforts, which call it Bangladesh Investment Climate Improvement Program by ourselves, is a homegrown model, where we'll be looking into the challenges that at this moment by the investors facing, so that the reforms that have been taken in the previous year will be continued. So this is from my end. Mr. Holman can share his view on the detail. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hope. I think he also touched about the challenges and benefits for foreign companies to set up in Bangladesh, where there will be a program to ease the incorporation of overseas foreign direct investment into Bangladesh. So maybe for Mr. Holman, I think one of the big things that we are talking about these few months or even start of this year is the $5 billion that IFC is looking to invest into Bangladesh. And we traditionally know that Bangladesh is traditionally very reliant on their ready-made garment sectors throughout the year, since they started independence in the late 1970s. So maybe out of all these sectors that Bangladesh wish to diversify into, which are the sectors that shows the most promise, and which are the sectors have the most potential for collaboration with maybe Singaporean companies, or maybe generally which are the sectors that show most promise for investment going forward for Bangladesh? Mr. Holman, maybe you have the expertise or experience to share on this or touch on this and share with our attendees today on this.
Thank you, Dexter, and thank you to my fellow panelists for the opportunity to speak with them and to give a little bit of an insight into what's happening here in the market. And maybe on a personal level, I've been house hunting, and I can tell everyone that the market is heating up, and that there is a huge influx of foreign investors coming into the market. I meet them both in looking for housing and also in the stores that supply furnishings and all of that. And they're not only from Asia, they come from Europe, they come from Africa even. So there's a real buzz in this market. And I think it's more than just the coming out of COVID effect. Obviously, as COVID has been on the retreat, there is an increase in activities. But I just want to share that as an insight, because it has been affecting me personally in a good way. I think when you ask which sectors we want to invest in, so let me first go a step back. Yes, we have been a partner of Bangladesh, a very proud partner. As you know, IFC is the private sector arm of the World Bank Group. We have been in the market, investing in the market in Bangladesh since 1985. So we have quite a track record, and we've invested in many different sectors. If you ask me which sectors are the most interesting, I would actually say all of them, because an economy that is growing as fast and as robust as Bangladesh is, almost every sector is of interest from an investor perspective. It is a huge market in its own right. This has been mentioned. His Excellency, the High Commissioner, mentioned the big market size. There is a rising middle class with moving to upper middle income status, of course. there are huge consumer markets in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And so, you know, the easy answer is to say every sector is important. Let me go a bit more into specifics where we want to invest as IFC. So I would say 3 specific areas and 1 additional theme. So just bear with me. The first sector, the first area is really where the country has had traditional strengths. So that continues to be, of course, the RMG sector, which is now moving very into high value added segments, also man-made fiber things. We're also focusing on value-added manufacturing. Then, of course, power and distribution. That's where partners like Summit come in, of course. Ports and transportation. There we've had already more than a decade of cooperation also with entities from Singapore. And then, of course, also in a growing economy, there you need finance. We have made many investments in the financial sector, and we continue to want to do that, and there I'm just referring to the traditional banking sector. So that will be one of the areas of focus. Then the second area I would call growth areas, areas that have sort of a specific dynamic in terms of the importance and also the opportunities. And one of them is, of course, renewable energy, as we would all imagine. Healthcare is a sector that we want to focus on very strongly. Currently, healthcare expenditure in Bangladesh, which, by the way, has had amazing progress in terms of human development and socioeconomic indicators, one of the best, and maybe the best in the world over the last 20 years. But healthcare expenditure currently is still only at 3% of GDP, which suggests that there is a huge opportunity for additional investments, both from local players, but also from outside players. Pharmaceuticals, that's already a sector that we estimate to be about a $5 billion opportunity. Then, of course, infrastructure. As the economy grows, infrastructure will need to grow. Several participants have already talked about that. And the infrastructure needs, according to our estimates, are going to be at least $600 billion over the next 20 years. Transportation, cold storage will play a big role. Logistics is a big market, already estimated at $15 billion, and we want to play more in that space. Then last but not least, housing, a big need and also opportunity, including for external investors. The third area that we really will focus on is disruptive technologies, and this already came up in several of the earlier contributions. We are a proud shareholder in bKash, which is one of the largest payments platforms in the world. We are looking currently at additional areas in the disruptive space where Bangladesh has excellent opportunities and also excellent entrepreneurs, many of whom are looking for external partnerships. And those include education, edtech, e-commerce, and of course, outsourcing. And then let me just finish by saying the overarching theme. I promised there would be a theme. So the overarching theme through all of this, in our case, is one of climate and inclusion. So whatever we do will focus on making the growth trajectory of Bangladesh inclusive for everyone in society, and also to mitigate the increasing climate risks. And I'm sure I don't need to explain that. We all know what I'm talking about, but it's an exciting opportunity for the private sector to engage. So I'll stop here.
Thank you, Mr. Holman. I think you did share quite an insightful future development or investment plans, or even the sectors that some of these businesses might want to venture into. Me, myself, I might not even be aware of some of this potential in Bangladesh as well. Thank you, Mr. Holman. I think one of the sectors that we talk about very frequently as well is SEZ. So SEZ, like what Mr. Hussein mentioned during his presentation here, it's also one of the sectors IFC is looking to invest into. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Holman. So, Mr. Holman or Mr. Hussein, I think, what do you think will be the potential model of SEZ in Bangladesh? Will there be model after Singapore or Dubai, or will there be a slight hint or touch difference for these two cities? You know, traditionally, I think Singapore have their own version of SEZ, Dubai have their own version of SEZ as well. So will Dhaka, or generally even in Chittagong, they will have another different model in comparison to the SEZ UAE and Singapore? maybe I'll direct to Mr. Hopman and Mr. Hussein. Either one of you, if you want to answer this question.
Do you want to go first, Mr. Hussein?
Can I take the call first? Just to share from the government points of view, just for. Thank you, everyone, fellow panelists. Economic zone is a very interesting, you know, the proposition. We had a successful model of export processing zones since 1980. These are very successful models, and we thought that this model should be evaluated to the further extent. Export processing zone was only meant for export-oriented industry, but in the economic zone, it will be a heterogeneous model that we have taken care of, which will include the domestic industry as well as the export-oriented industry, which will include the processing and semi-unprocessed, non-processing areas. So that's how we are planning to, and as of now, we have planned to develop 100 economic zone in the country, and many of them, most of them are in the various stages of implementation. The largest one is the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, in the economic zone in the Chittagong, which is housing almost huge area of the investment. So that's how we are developing, and our colleague from the Summit Technopolis has shared the high-tech authority. As you said that there will be 39 high-tech parks, which will be a special model of the economic zones. And we are developing a sector-oriented, the country-oriented economic zones to keep these investment in particular areas. So in the coming days, you will be seeing when this whole economic zones will be developed in the country, you will see a different landscape and the high surge of the investment in the country. Thank you, Dexter. I will be stopping here.
What about Mr. Hussein and Mr. Hopman? Any insights or feedback or your outlook you can think of the SEZ in Bangladesh going forward?
So it's fine. As my colleague Mr. Arif has already shared, I think that was very insightful. Yeah, it will be a different country, and the connectivity is completely different. In the last decade, the government has done wonderful work. We have 2 ports by this time. The main port, and the government is working for another number of ports, and the airport has been changed dramatically. There's 100 EPZ, 100 zone is being developed, and 38 as said that the 38 high-tech park also being developed. So if you compare them, that's a different Bangladesh. Once it's done, that will be completely different. Yeah, that's from my side as well. Repetition.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. What about Mr. Homan? I think this is one of the very focused thing that SBF is really looking into, the SEZ in Bangladesh. So, Mr. Homan, maybe you can summarize and conclude the last part of this discussion about SEZ, and also we can conclude the panel discussion for this round and go on to the next part of the program. Mr. Homan.
Right. So let me just say, I personally, I think the economic zones are a game changer for Bangladesh and also for existing and potential investors, both locally but also from abroad. No question about that. I had the pleasure to plant a tree in the Mirasharai economic zone on March 15th, which was my first official day of service. So that shows you how important this is for IFC. We are very proud to have been involved in the model of the special economic zones together with our government counterparts in Bangladesh and with BIDA and also with PPP authority. So we feel a little pride of parents, at least co-parenting, and we're very excited about this. You asked about the model and how is it different? Well, it's different because it's much larger and much more heterogeneous than those models that you just mentioned in much smaller countries. There is a huge internal market, and so a lot of the activities in the economic zones will be geared towards producing an offer for the internal markets. There will be different themes. There will be different co-sponsors of these economic zones. So there's a huge menu out there. It's almost like going to the breakfast menu in a hotel and you see so much food that you don't even know what to start with. So for potential investors, this is amazing. It will help with the spatial development of the country and will help to decongest what is sometimes right now, especially in Dhaka, a very crowded infrastructure. And government, as we have heard before, is very supportive. So I think this is exactly the sort of the key that will open doors to investors in the market here in Bangladesh. So we're very, very happy about this, and we will continue to work with government and private sector to fill these economic zones with life. And I saw in Mirsharai that the life is there. There were several factories that were about to open, others were in construction phase, totally amazing, and I would really call it world class.
Thank you, Mr. Homan. Thank you, Mr. Ho, and thank you, Mr. Hussein. I trust that these sessions have provided some ideas on the outlook of Bangladesh industrial sectors going forward and how Singaporean company can expect when entering Bangladesh. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Pejauskas and Mr. Singh to share on the company's experience on doing business in Bangladesh. Mr. Pejauskas and Mr. Singh, please.
Sure, thanks, Dexter, and thank you very much for hosting us and to all of our panelists and the guests. My name is Nicholas Pejauskas. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Summit Power International. I'm based in Singapore. Our company is headquartered in Singapore, but I'll just give a very brief background on Summit Power. Mr. Hossein had described and already given a bit of description as he discussed Summit Group. But Summit Power is part of Summit Group, which is one of the large conglomerates within Bangladesh. We focused on developing and operating power generation and also natural gas infrastructure within Bangladesh. We have a 25-year history, and in fact, our company set up the very first private power plant in Bangladesh around 25 years ago. We've now grown to a size of around 2.3 gigawatts of power, which is approximately 10% of the entire market in Bangladesh and around 20% of the private market. Our power plants are natural gas fired. Majority of our natural gas. We do have some fuel oil power plants as well. And we also operate one of the two LNG terminals in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has two LNG terminals via a floating storage and regasification units. We operate one of those. We are owned 78% by our founder, Mr. Aziz Khan and his family, and also 22% by JERA. JERA is the largest energy company in Japan. They invested into us in 2019. We also have a subsidiary that is listed on the stock exchange as well. So that's a brief background. I can go into more details on our experience in Bangladesh, but perhaps I'll turn over to Mr. Singh briefly so he can also give a background on his company.
Thank you, Nicholas. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jasprit, and I'm Bangladesh Country Manager for Asia Project Engineering, also known as APICO. Please allow me to share briefly on our journey. We were incorporated in 1970, 52 years ago to be precise. We are a maintenance company providing service for power sector and utilities in Singapore. We support these utilities and power sector with long-term service agreement, shutdown maintenance and ad hoc services for power plant, refineries, PUB and other private sectors in Singapore. In the last 2 decades, we have added EPC, design and engineering services to our portfolio. We are in-house contractor for 3 power plants in Singapore. We are 100% Japanese-owned Singapore-based company, with Qdenco and Mitsubishi Heavy Industry (MHI) being our 2 shareholders. Regarding our Bangladesh chapter, January 2020, we received the necessary paperwork to start our operation in Bangladesh. But as we know, due to pandemic, which crippled most of the global market, in March 2020, we were forced to temporarily suspend our services. And January 2022, this year, we have started our marketing efforts. So I will hand over back to Dexter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasper and Nicholas. So maybe some questions to share about during this panel. Maybe I'll direct to Jaspreet, because APECO, I understand you all went into Bangladesh slightly before the pandemic. So why did APECO choose to invest in Bangladesh? You know, any positive or outlook or future potential that you all think there is in Bangladesh?
To be frank, Bangladesh was not new to us. We have been involved in the power outages in Bangladesh since 2007. As I mentioned, MHI is one of our shareholders, so through the network, we have been working with the power plants on and off. But it wasn't until March 2019, while working in Bangladesh, when the power plant owners and other vendors, they gave us feedback that they need a one-stop solution company which could address to their needs, to the market needs of Bangladesh. And this feedback we brought back to Singapore. Board of directors, they gave us green light to start a feasible study on doing business in Bangladesh. And one other important contributing factor that drove us to invest in Bangladesh is we have almost 87 Bangladeshi direct employees in Singapore who specialize in various trades, and some of them have been with us for almost 20 years. These gentlemen are highly trained, skilled resources, which are our resources, and we can utilize in Bangladesh. So we thought, okay, why not do something about it? And as by blessings, in August 2019, when Singapore Business Federation and Enterprise Singapore, in collaboration with Bangladesh Investment Development Agency, BIDA, they ran an overseas market workshop to Bangladesh. We jumped right in. It was too good opportunity for us to miss out. The 5-day workshop was very helpful to us. SBF was able to link us up with various companies and agencies who were like-minded. And by the end of 2019, we were pretty sure and we were decided that we're going to set up a branch office. And within the few months of 2019, we were able to get approval from BIDA and local authorities to set up our office.
Thank you, Jaspreet. That was very insightful. Maybe I will direct this to Nicholas next. So as we all know now, the country will be graduating from the LDC status to developing country status. So Nicholas, what opportunities for businesses, private conglomerates like Summit or even APECO, even other companies that have been in Bangladesh or will plan to be in Bangladesh, will be present for them? The opportunities will be present for them going forward.
Sure. So I think as also has been alluded to by some of the other panelists, the fact that Bangladesh has done so well to grow its economy and to diversify and is now graduating into a developing nation, the implication is that the economy itself is getting larger, is becoming more resilient and more diversified. And so I think naturally that will lead to a lot of opportunities across many sectors and even new sectors that emerge as the economy becomes more diversified. For Summit, focusing on power and infrastructure, natural gas infrastructure at the moment, but also open to other areas that we see. Similarly, we notice there's a lot of opportunity. Power itself is necessary to support this growth. It always has been that way. It's been extremely important to help the population. It's almost like a basic human right, and it's a necessity to support a growing economy. So there will need to be more power generation. This power generation will need to be stable, it will need to be low cost, and will need to be efficient. And as we have done over the past 25 years, we will continue to focus on bringing the latest technologies to support Bangladesh. Similarly, within the infrastructure area is looking at natural gas, which underpins the power sector at the moment, and we expect will continue to do so. We are pursuing further infrastructure for LNG import into Bangladesh. The other areas where we'll have opportunities is within the renewable segment. Bangladesh is a member of the Climate Vulnerability Forum, and the Honorable Prime Minister chairs that at the moment, and is Bangladesh is quite focused on developing renewable energies, both within Bangladesh and potentially to be supplied across border from neighboring countries, India, Nepal, Bhutan. So we see opportunities there. And the other thing that we are very focused on are new technologies, particularly within the energy space. People globally are looking at things such as hydrogen and ammonia, efficiency or utilizing LNG infrastructure, cold energy. So we definitely explore those areas as well. So, and to summarize, certainly within power and infrastructure and other sectors, there clearly will be significant opportunities in Bangladesh.
Thank you, Nicholas, for the sharing. Maybe to Jasprit now. We understand that Bangladesh have relatively welcoming liberal regulations. What were the regulatory challenges that APECO faced? And if any at all, how did APECO overcome those challenges?
Getting the right information, correct procedure, I think were one of the bigger challenges that we face. Application to various agencies through manual system had their own challenges. When you resolve one issue, another one comes up. We started to face all these things, but luckily for us, from the very first day, SBF, Enterprise Singapore, and BIDA have been very helpful and instrumental in guiding us through the process. Dedicated team officers from BIDA under Mr. Ariful's supervision, they were very prompt to assist us and guide us. Since 2019, I think a lot of changes have happened in Bangladesh. BIDA now has an online platform that guide company through the online steps on how to set up the business. I think the platform now even has a provision to do online applications. So I think those issues that were faced by us has been resolved. Having a reliable local partner, I think, is very important, and I cannot emphasize enough on this. Localize as much as possible, enhance the local people knowledge to get things done. For us, we are also planning that our local Bangladeshi employees who are in Singapore, in future, we will assign them to key roles, position in Bangladesh office, so where they can continue to grow, enhance their skill, and groom other people to be like-minded.
Thank you, Jasprit.
I
think the point about the Bangladeshi, employees that in Singapore. Our connection between Singapore and Bangladesh is actually beyond, just business to business or even government to government. The people connection between Bangladeshi and Singaporean is very strong. As we all know, where we grow up, where most of these Bangladeshi help us to build the nation. Thank you, Jasprit, for sharing on this. Thank you. So maybe the last question, direct to Nicholas. What advice will you give to Singaporean companies that look to break into Bangladesh? I believe this question will be more appropriate for Samir Power because you guys have been there for a longer period of time. So maybe you have some advice to give to the potential Singaporean companies that want to break into Bangladesh.
Sure, and I can also share my perspective as well, being from not from Bangladesh but now working in Bangladesh, and I think that perhaps many investors may not be generally as familiar with Bangladesh as other countries. So I think, my recommendation would be to visit Bangladesh, immerse yourself in Bangladesh, meet local companies, meet with government agencies. I think that what I've noticed is the workforce in Bangladesh is extremely highly skilled and very knowledgeable, and people are very helpful, and both within the private sector as well as the public sector. And just spending a few days in Dhaka, but also traveling outside of Dhaka, one can learn a tremendous amount about the country. I also agree with the point that it is important to have a partner who is experienced and has the network and understanding of the regulatory environment in Bangladesh. So a company that's not from Bangladesh, but is looking to break in, that is also important. It's important to select the right partner in that area. So that's another recommendation that I would have.
Thank you both of you, both gentlemen. It was quite an insightful sharing by both gentlemen, and hope it inspire you on your potential new ventures into Bangladesh. Now, I would like to invite His Excellency Islam to give the closing address of the webinar. Your Excellency, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dexter. Excellencies, High Commissioner Direct Law, distinguished panelists, business leaders and organizations from Singapore and Bangladesh, friends and colleagues from Singapore Business Federation and BIDA, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all of you. I deem it as a big honor and a pleasure to speak on this occasion. I would like to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to the organizers for arranging this webinar and the panelists for their rich discussion. At the outset, I would like to pay my homage to the memories of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, for his invaluable sacrifices and the visionary leadership in ushering Bangladesh to its independence and rebuilding a war-ravaged country. It is for him we have the faith and courage in the potentials of Bangladesh to dream big. It is for him who we are today. I would like to applaud the stewardship of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for the emphatic economic growth and social transmission the Bangladesh is harnessing nowadays and the world is witnessing. Withstanding all odds of pandemic and ongoing global economic turmoil, Bangladesh has been able to maintain its steady growth in terms of GDP. She is in a mission to chase the dream of our father of the nation for building the Sonar Bangla, economically affluent, a peaceful and developing Bangladesh that stands tall amid others with her immense potentials and self-dignity. In the same vein, I would like to highlight with great honor the hard work and devotion of Honorable Foreign Minister Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen MP and relevant officers in the pursuing of economic diplomacy to live up to the expectations of the successful graduation of Bangladesh from LDC category. Bangladesh is not complacent due to the robust GDP growth and foreign currency reserve that it enjoys today. Rather, we are cautious and aware regarding the newer challenges of becoming a developing country, as well as the so-called middle income trap. This is where this particular webinar is of significant importance for Bangladesh, and particularly for Bangladesh-Singapore bilateral relationships. Today, as per the latest statistics of IMF, Bangladesh is the 41st largest economy of the world, and it has an immense potential to thrive. For us, the preferential treatments in terms of duty-free, quota-free access to world market, and relaxation on intellectual property rights and country of origin rules will gradually evaporate in a few years' time. Hence, the Honorable Foreign Minister has rightly prioritized a few measures in pursuing our economic diplomacy, setting up more and more special trade arrangements with our trading partners in the forms of PTA, FTA, and SEPA. B, people to people and business to business connections in conventional and non-conventional manners. And C, creating a conducive environment for doing business, ease of doing business, particularly back at home. Bangladesh High Commission in Singapore is truly aligned with these concepts. Our doors are always open for you for getting engaged constructively. As a country, Bangladesh has its limitations. We need to put more concentrations for the betterment of ease of doing business factor. For the sake of business and investment, networking is of immense importance. I have no motive to undermine the necessities of meetings and webinars like that we are having today, but I believe rather in a whole of society approach in doing any good. We need to reaching out to the furthest first, who have minimal access to these types of interactions and getting benefited. I am somewhat disheartened today's low out turnout. Are we failing to attract people whom we need the most? I can recall, I advocated for a few cooperation agreements to be signed between women entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs, and SMEs. I still hold the same belief that these are the areas where we should focus more to attain more P2P and B2B. Sometimes the same formula doesn't work for all. We need a real understanding of the requirements at the ground and time-sensitive innovations for the ball rolling. I'd be glad if we receive specific deliverables for this meeting, maybe an action plan to work with, so that next year when we sit again, at least we may have something in our table to review and stock taking. Pandemic has taken a backseat. Therefore, as BFM plan a few working visits to Bangladesh to renew the existing relations with the Bangladeshi partners. Recently, I met a few leading Singaporean businessmen and they have the same opinion. As you are aware, we are discussing on a possible FTA between Singapore and Bangladesh. 3 rounds of negotiations have already taken place. Though having enough political encouragements from both ends, negotiations are currently at a very preliminary stage. As BF may arrange a panel discussion or a special session for the businessmen and policymakers of both the countries to have an engaging dialogue. Last year, ISAS did it, and it was a wonderful event. Based on these discussions and based on today's panel discussions, I have a very few concrete proposals in this regard. A, timely conclusion of the ongoing negotiation on the bilateral FTA. B, accomplishing relevant MOUs and cooperation agreements between the youth and women entrepreneurs of both the countries, as well as the SMEs by this year. We shouldn't forget that this year we observe the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh and Singapore bilateral relationships. Realizing an exclusive economic zone for Singapore at a suitable location in Bangladesh in line with other FTA countries. D, bringing Singaporean investment to the high-tech parks in Bangladesh in line with Summit Metropolis and their presentation today. And E, setting up instruments under which more overseas training centers, OTCs, may be established in Bangladesh for skill development among the potential Bangladeshi workers prior to their entry to Singapore. And creating opportunities for on-job trainings for Bangladeshi professionals and technicians in Singapore. Let me clarify this point a bit more. Currently, we are having 35,000 Bangladeshi expatriate workers working in different sectors of Singapore. And all of them are being recruited through 5 to 6 so-called OTCs, overseas training centers in Bangladesh. This is where we need to focus on so that the numbers of OTCs could be increased. It will, in one hand, increases the opportunity of the people to be trained across the country, and B, it will reduce the migrant costs towards Singapore. And C, although I am not taking the responsibility for commenting, but many people comment that it has created an oligarchy as to the manpower sending Singapore. I believe the agreements, the 4 agreements that I have already mentioned, the FTA, the women cooperation entrepreneurs, the youth cooperation entrepreneurs, and SMEs, will lead to concrete stock taking and follow-up during our future engagements and help to create a more meaningful ties for business and investments. Seminars, webinars, workshops are definitely important. But if we have these agreements on our table, it will create a moral and legal bindings for us to take stock taking what we have done over the years. Otherwise, these seminars, workshops, and symposiums will just be termed as annual rituals for both the countries. I believe this should be the best lesson from today's seminar, so that we can implement something, at least for the betterment of our two peoples in the year to come, so that in next year's webinars, we can proudly say that, yes, we have these done agreements, we have done these agreements, and we have achieved these achievements under these agreements. I am concluding here by thanking you all and wishing you a peaceful, prosperous life. And at the end of this 50th anniversary of the Bangladesh-Singapore bilateral relationships, I believe at least there will be some substantial agreements signed by the end of February 16, 2023, which will be the concluding day of our 50th anniversary. With this hope and aspirations, I am stopping here. Long live Singapore-Bangladesh relations. Joy Bangla. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We have come to the end of today's session. We hope that this webinar has provided information, inspired your organization to a very extent on potential internationalization into Bangladesh. There will be several upcoming festivals as shown on the screen. If you are interested, please scan the QR code provided on the slide to register or contact us for more information. On behalf of the Singapore Business Federation, we would like to thank everyone for making this event a success. Special thanks to our supporting organization, Enterprise Singapore, International Finance Corporation, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, Summit Power International, and APECO. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you again.